I've been using a 2012 MacBook Pro 15-inch for the last couple of years. I do all my main editing on it. I use Final Cut Pro, and sometimes I use Premiere Pro from Adobe. But I was very anxious to upgrade that, but with no offerings from Apple, I had to wait. Well, recently, Apple announced the new 2016 MacBook Pro with TouchBar and Touch ID. I was excited, I ordered it, I have it in hand, and I've been putting it through its paces for the past week. Hi, my name's Andrew from AMDtech, and this is the review of the 2016 MacBook Pro. It's the 15-inch version. Let's find out if it's worth your money. Apple's MacBook Pro line has been in desperate need of a refresh as it's been getting a bit long in the tooth and really needs a new iteration. And that's exactly what Apple has just done when it released its late 2016 MacBook Pros in both the 13 and 15-inch variants. It has the new Touch Bar along with Touch ID, but it did so at a cost. It sacrificed certain ports that professionals need and use, and it also has a higher price tag. Let's find out if some of these sacrifices are deal breakers. The unit I picked up is the Intel Core i7 quad-core CPU. It has 16 gigs of memory, AMD Radeon Pro 455 with 2 gigs of video memory. It also has 256 gigs of PCIe SSD storage. And it comes in at a hefty $2,399 price tag. The new MacBook Pro weighs 4.08 pounds, is 0.61 inches thick. It's about a half a pound lighter than its previous generation. The star of the show has to be its 15.4-inch IPS display with a resolution of 2880 by 1800, and for those keeping score, that's 220 pixels per inch. Apple also has a 60% brighter screen than its previous generation. At 500 nits, this is one of the most outstanding screens I've seen in a very long time. Excellent job, Apple, on the screen refresh. Packaging is premium, as we've come to expect from Apple in Cupertino, as the presentation is very, very important. The out-of-box experience is something Apple puts a lot of emphasis on. Opening the box, you're greeted by the MacBook Pro itself, and I decided to go with the new space gray model. It also comes in the traditional silver. Moving along, you have some documentation and stickers, and you also have your USB Type-C. Apple has decided to do away with the MagSafe connector, much to the chagrin of those wanting to protect their device if they trip over the cord. And speaking of the cord, it doesn't have a extender as you would find in the previous generation, something I think Apple has made a big mistake on and should have included in the box. As far as ports are concerned, here's what you get. You get 4 USB Type-C Thunderbolt 3 ports. Each one can charge the device. Nice touch. They also can drive multiple monitors, 4K, and here you see your other 2 USB Type-C, along with something that the iPhone doesn't have, a 3.5mm headphone jack. But one port that is missing is the SD card slot, a big miss in my opinion, as many videographers, photographers, and professionals rely on it. That may be a deal breaker for some. So you're going to need some adapters and dongles such as this, which is by Satechi. I'll put the link below to where you can get it from Amazon. It costs around $45 and well worth it. It has an SD card slot, micro SD card slot, 2 USB Type A ports, and a USB Type C. It also can pass through as a charger for the device. Now, something very interesting is that the speakers are located on the bottom of the device, not on the top of the device next to the keyboard as you would think, as there are speaker grills. Something you could thank Johnny Ives for. It's done more for cosmetic purposes and has no functionality. A little bit of a strange move indeed. Now, having said that, these are some of the best sounding speakers I've ever heard on a laptop and perhaps on any device. Really an outstanding job, Apple, in terms of sound. To give you an idea just how good the sound is on this device, let's take a look and a listen at a video from our good friends over at Western Gents United, an excellent channel that really has some premium reviews. Check it out if you haven't done so. I'll put the link below.
Tally-ho there, champs, and welcome to the show. This is the review you've all been waiting for. Now, I've tried to get this review out as quick as I can.
One of the more interesting and controversial moves made by Apple is its decision to do away with the traditional function keys and replace it with the Touch Bar. It's an OLED display that has different functionality depending on the application you're using. It's an interesting concept, but I found myself thinking, wow, I really wish this would have a touchscreen instead, rather than me having to look down at the keyboard and find the right button at the right time. And Apple has made it very clear that they're not going to put a touchscreen on their Macs anytime soon. One new feature that I do love is Touch ID. It works just like it does on the iPhone. It works extremely well, and it lets you log in without having to put your password. A big boon as far as I'm concerned. There is now a Siri button on the touch bar. Here it is in action. What's the weather like in New York?
Here's the forecast for New York for today.
And another area of controversy is its keyboard. Apple decided to replace the traditional keyboard that you found in the MacBook Pros of previous generations and replace it with the butterfly keyboard, similar to the one on the 12-inch MacBook. And it is improved over that keyboard in terms of key travel and in terms of feel. Much to my surprise, I was able to type with very good accuracy, and overall, I really do like the keyboard, although it's a little bit loud for some people's tastes. Apple decided to increase the size of the trackpad, and in one word, it's humongous. In fact, it's one of the biggest trackpads I've ever seen. In fact, you can fit an iPhone 7 Plus with room to spare in that space. And Apple decided to do away with the traditional glowing Apple logo on the lid, something that will certainly irk some people. Apple decided to go with the 6th generation Skylake processor over the newer 7th generation Kaby Lake processor, and here's how it did on the Geekbench 4.0 test. On the multi-core score, it did 12,623, an excellent score indeed. The Intel HD Graphics 530 did well at 19,160. The AMD Radeon 450 GPU did 41,989 on the same test, and it did very well. The PCIe SSD that Apple decided to go with are off the charts in terms of scores. Check out the Blackmagic disk speed test that it did perform on. It did a 1,447 on the write, and it broke the read scores. It did better than 2,000. Wow. And on the Octane 2.0 score, it did 31,808. Another excellent figure indeed. Needless to say, performance on this device is simply outstanding. Apple claims you're going to get 10 hours of battery life on the new MacBook Pros, especially the 15-inch one, which has a 76 watt-hour battery. Actually, we did better. In real-world usage, we just did a little bit over 11 hours. That's running YouTube, multiple tabs in Chrome, light gaming, and some light word processing, and some Photoshop. Of course, if you're going to do any 4K video editing in Final Cut Pro or Adobe Premiere Pro, your battery life will be much less. And of course, it all depends on your usage, so your mileage may vary. So is Apple's latest MacBook Pro, the 2016 MacBook Pro with Touch Bar and Touch ID, is it a buy? Is it something I can recommend? And the answer is, it depends. This is a very expensive product with a starting price of $2,400, which I think is very high, especially for the average consumer. But I have to say, I do love this laptop for what it has. It has a beautiful, outstanding, bright display, premium build and quality, sleek design, outstanding battery life. The fact that they've added Touch ID is a real boon. I love its crazy large trackpad, and I really like its keyboard, believe it or not, even with the butterfly keys and all. And I was blown away by the blazing PCIe SSD read and write scores. Simply outstanding. But there are things I don't like about this device, and here they are. While the Touch Bar is an interesting concept and does work somewhat well, I think there is room for improvement and will get better over time. I didn't like the fact that they chose not to put an SD card slot on this device, especially for those professionals, videographers, and photographers that really need it. And I did not like the fact that they took away the MagSafe 2 connector, something that I think will be a big mistake over long-term use. And I don't like the fact that I have to buy expensive dongles and adapters simply because they decided to shave a millimeter or so off this device. And I don't like the fact that they didn't give the power cord extension cable in the box, something that's a small thing that they could have done. And overall, the biggest problem with this device is its price. With a starting price of $2,400, this is out of the reach for many average consumers. But with those negatives aside, there is no denying that this is one excellent laptop with a great screen, great performance, and great looks. And if that's what you're into, if that's what you're looking for, then this is a definite buy. As a laptop, this is an outstanding machine, and that's why I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. So what do you think about the 2016 MacBook Pro, the 15-inch edition? What do you think about the TouchBar? Have you used it? Do you think it's gimmicky? Is it functional? I am curious to know. Please leave a comment in the comment section below. I understand the price may be an issue for some. $2,500 as a starting point with tax is a lot of money to ask. And the fact of the matter is they took away a lot of the ports, and the SD card slot in particular is going to be an issue, especially for professionals such as videographers and photographers who rely on the SD card slot. Carrying dongles and having to get these adapters can get expensive and cumbersome, and I understand that complaint. But putting those negatives aside, I really do think this is one of the best laptops out there right now, and the proof is always in the pudding. Fact of the matter is, I edited this video in 4K on Final Cut Pro on this very machine, and it handled it like a champ. So I have to say, in real world usage, I love the battery life, I love that gorgeous screen, and I love the performance. All the things I need. I can live with the fact that I have to carry a dongle or an adapter for the SD card slot to connect it to a monitor, but I like the fact that it has 4 USB Type-C, all Thunderbolt 3, so I can support multiple monitors and can charge from any one of those ports. Nice touch. But I'm curious to know what you think. Leave a comment in the comment section below. I really want to know. And as far as competitors to the MacBook Pro, I'm going to revisit the XPS 15 from Dell. It's the one I reviewed about 7 or 8 months ago. Has a 4K UHD gorgeous display, touch display with 2 gigabytes dedicated NVIDIA GPU. It also has a very fast SSD. And I thought, what better way to compare the MacBook Pro to something in the Windows equivalent? And that is the powerhouse Dell XPS 15. I want to see how they both do, especially with 4K video editing. I'm going to use it both on Adobe Premiere Pro on the Mac side and on the Windows side. And I'm going to give you that video to see which one is better. And I'm also going to check the other aspects of those machines. So stay tuned for that. So please hit the like button. Please subscribe. Please share this video. Don't forget to leave a comment in the comment section below. Let me know how I'm doing. Let me know if there's a device or something out there you think I should review. I certainly will do my best to try to make that happen. So until next time, this is Andrew from AMDtech. See ya.